Here at Green Life Farm, we don't do a lot of the major infrastructure set up with like a do-it-yourself type system. However, when it comes to irrigation, that is the one thing that we have designed and set up and built ourselves. The reason why we do our own irrigation system is the fact if you go to any type of farm store around or you're looking around as someone who knows their plumbing, it can get very, very costly very quick. So for us, we know a little bit about plumbing and irrigation, so we decided let's design our own system. We use 1/2-inch PVC, hooked it up to our wobblers, and it worked really, really well. Now, in saying all of this, if you don't know anything about plumbing, if you're not sure, you're a little nervous to take on a project like this yourself, absolutely hire somebody. Water is key to growth. You have to have water when you have a farm. Our first year farming at Green Life Farm, we didn't actually have an irrigation setup. We didn't realize how important it was going to be to the success of our farm, and very quickly on, we learned that plants just will not survive or they will not grow to their maximum production without irrigation. So in year 2, we had a friend of ours who has an excavator. They came up and they dug a pond for us. We had a section in our field that was always wet and damp, and I thought, you know, there might be an underground spring here. So sure enough, we went back, we dug, and it filled with water. We have roughly about 75,000 gallons of water in our pond. So with our pond, we use just a simple gasoline pump. It has an inch line that goes out from the water and pumps it anywhere in our farm. The reason we do this is we're actually several hundred feet from the main house, and for cost effectiveness, it was really expensive to try to run an electrical wire all the way back here, set it up an electric pump, and have it run that way. This way, with our gasoline pump, it cost me about only $2 to run a tank, and I can do that every single day, no problem, water the entire fields here. Now, if you don't have access to a pond or to a high pressure pump, that's still okay. If you have access to a pump that is in a well, that still has a little bit low PSI, you can work with that. The only difference is you just won't be able to run as many sprinklers at a time. So you'll have to be a little bit more finicky of how you set up your irrigation schedule. So here at Green Life Farm, we run what is called a wobbler sprinkler. It's made by Excel Seninger. And the reason why we like them is they work off very low PSI. So here at the farm, we don't run everything off of our gasoline pump in the back. There's a lot of little tasks that need to be done here and there, and we have several hydrants hooked up to these type of hoses in different parts of the farm. Now, the reason we do this is when it comes to transplanting or watering some trays or something like that, it's much easier to grab this type of hose, be able just to turn it on. Whether we're even using it in a watering container or anything, it works much better than having to go all the way back, turning on the gasoline pump and then letting it run, and then after we're done, going back and shutting it off again. A lot easier just to have a few hoses lying around, set up on a couple different hydrants, hooked to the main well for the house. All right, so now we've talked about the water setup, what we use here at the farm, but now I just want to go into a little bit more detail on the importance of water on your farm. So for us, we have a spring growing season, a summer growing season, and a fall growing season. And each season has a different requirement for water. So in the springtime, we usually get a decent amount of rain and we have a lot of snow melt that makes our ground very wet and saturated. So in the spring, we do not have to water near as much. Now, moving into summer, we get really dry really quick. So we want to make sure that all of our crops are getting roughly 1.5 to 2 inches worth of rainwater every single week. So we supplement this by using our pond for irrigation. Now, when you're irrigating, you want to make sure that you're either irrigating first thing in the morning or in the evening. If you're irrigating in the mid of the afternoon, the water is not going to reach the roots of your plants. It can help, okay? For example, on the hottest days when we're hitting 40 degrees Celsius, even up to 45 degrees Celsius, we will use our irrigation on our greens just to keep them cool during the hottest part of the day. But if you're watering to try to reach the roots, you need to water first thing in the morning or later in the evening so the evaporation is not happening in the same way. Lastly, when you're irrigating in the fall, here where we are in our climate, our fall it can be dry but can also have large rainstorms. Now, the thing is to remember in the fall is your daylight hours are much less. So you're not getting near the evaporation. So you can actually go several days in between watering. As long as you keep going out, you move the soil back a bit, and you can see the ground is still wet, don't water. Because in the fall is a very good time to get a lot of fungal diseases, a lot of different issues like that. So you really don't want to overwater in the fall. The main season for watering is that summer season. You want to make sure that the plants have all the water they need when they're trying to grow their heaviest. So you've seen our sprinkler system. Now let me just talk about our drip irrigation. We run drip irrigation on our tomato plants, our cucumber plants, and all our different squash plants. Now, the reason for this is if the water stays on those leaves for too long, very, very easily and very quickly, they can become diseased and you can lose all production. So drip irrigation is very simple. We run it just off the house pump. It takes very, very low PSI, and the water from that, since it's directly at the roots and has a constant drip, it is very, very water efficient. We've had great results. You can make sure that the tomatoes, cucumber, squash, they get all the requirements they need right through that water, and you'll get excellent, excellent production off them.